Welcome to Business Matters and today's video where we're going to talk about ChatGPT. I'm your host, Professor Martin Lockstrom. ChatGPT is an AI-powered language model developed by OpenAI that can generate human-like responses to text-based prompts. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the benefits and drawbacks of using ChatGPT for various applications. First, let's talk about the pros of using ChatGPT. One of the biggest advantages is that ChatGPT can save a lot of time and effort for businesses and individuals who need to generate text-based content. For example, it can be used to create chatbots that interact with customers and provide assistance without the need for human intervention. Another benefit is that ChatGPT can generate responses that are more consistent and accurate than human-generated responses. This can be particularly useful in industries where accuracy is critical, such as healthcare and legal services. Additionally, ChatGPT can be trained on specific topics and industries, which means that it can provide more personalized and relevant responses than generic chatbots or customer service representatives. This can lead to better user experience for customers and improve overall satisfaction. However, there are also some cons to using ChatGPT. One of the biggest concerns is that it can be prone to bias and inaccuracies, particularly if it's not trained properly. This can lead to errors in responses and potential harm to users, particularly in industries such as healthcare and finance. Another drawback is that ChatGPT can be limited in its ability to understand context and nuance, particularly in complex conversations or situations. This can result in irrelevant or confusing responses that do not address users' needs or concerns. Additionally, some people may be uncomfortable interacting with a chatbot instead of a human customer representative, particularly for sensitive or emotional issues. This can lead to negative user experience and potentially harm the reputation of the business. Now, let's examine whether ChatGPT is biased and how that can impact its users. But before we dive into whether ChatGPT is biased, let's define what we mean by bias in the first place. In the context of AI, bias refers to the tendency of an algorithm or model to produce results that are systematically prejudiced in some way. This can happen if the model is trained on biased data or if there are biases in the way that the model is designed or used. So, is ChatGPT biased? The answer is yes and no. ChatGPT is not inherently biased, but it can become biased if it's trained on biased data or if it's used in a biased way. For example, if the data used to train ChatGPT is biased toward a particular demographic or viewpoint, then the model may produce biased responses. Similarly, if the model is used to address issues related to race, gender, or other sensitive topics, there's a risk that the responses may be biased or inappropriate. The impact of bias in ChatGPT can be significant. If the model produces biased responses, it can harm users and reinforce existing biases in society. For example, biased responses can perpetuate harmful stereotypes, exclude certain groups of people, or contribute to discrimination and inequality. Additionally, if biases in ChatGPT are not addressed, it can harm the reputation of the businesses or organizations that use it, leading to loss of trust and credibility. As with any new technology, there are concerns about the impact of ChatGPT on unemployment and the workforce. Now we'll take a closer look at whether these concerns are and explore whether ChatGPT will really lead to job destruction and unemployment. One of the biggest concerns about ChatGPT is that it will lead to the destruction of jobs, particularly in industries that rely on customer service or other forms of human interaction. For example, it's possible that ChatGPT could replace human customer service representatives, leading to job losses in that industry. However, it's important to note that ChatGPT can also create new job opportunities, particularly in the field of AI development and data analysis. For example, companies that use ChatGPT may need to hire data scientists and AI experts to manage and analyze the data generated by the model. Another concern about ChatGPT is that it will lead to unemployment, particularly for workers who may not have the skills or training needed to work in the AI field. This could lead to economic inequality and potentially social unrest. However, it's important to note that ChatGPT is still a relatively new technology and its impact on the workforce is not yet fully understood. Additionally, there are steps that can be taken to mitigate the potential negative impact of ChatGPT on the workforce. For example, governments and businesses They can invest in job training and education programs to help workers develop the skills needed to work in the AI field. ChatGPT has the potential to redefine or replace various professions that involve human-to-human interaction or text-based communication. Here are some examples. Number 1, customer service representative. Here, ChatGPT can be used to create chatbots that interact with customers, provide assistance, potentially replacing the need for human customer service representatives. Number 2, legal assistance. Here, ChatGPT can be trained on legal terminology and used to generate legal documents or provide basic legal advice, potentially reducing the need for human legal assistance. Number 3, data entry clerks. ChatGPT can be used to extract data from documents or forms and enter it into a database, potentially replacing the need for human data entry clerks. Number 4, technical writers. Here, ChatGPT can be used to generate technical documentation or user manuals, potentially reducing the need for human technical writers. Number 5, translators. Here, it can be used to be trained on multiple languages and to translate text-based communications, potentially replacing the need for human translators. Number 6, journalists. Here, it can be used to generate news articles or reports based on data analysis or other sources, potentially reducing the need for them. 7, sales representatives. Here, ChatGPT can be used to generate sales pitches or provide basic product information, potentially replacing the need for human sales representatives in some cases. While ChatGPT has the potential to redefine or replace these professions, it's important to note that it's still a relatively new technology and the capabilities limitations are not yet fully understood. In addition, there are some aspects of these professions, such as human-to-human interaction and critical thinking, that may be difficult or impossible for ChatGPT to fully replicate. In recent years, there's been a debate about whether AI models such as ChatGPT can be considered sentient or self-aware. Now, in the following, we'll explore this topic further in depth and consider the arguments for and against the sentience of ChatGPT. Before we dive into the question of whether ChatGPT is sentient, let's define what we mean by sentience. Sentience refers to the capacity for subjective experience or the ability to feel and perceive the world around us. This is often associated with self-awareness and consciousness. So the question is ChatGPT sentient? The answer is clearly no. ChatGPT is not sentient, nor did it have the capacity for subjective experience or self-awareness. ChatGPT is a machine learning model that is designed to respond to text-based prompts using a database of pre-existing language patterns. It does not have the ability to think, feel, or perceive the world in the same way that humans do. While ChatGPT can generate responses that appear to be intelligent and human-like, these responses are based on algorithms and statistical patterns rather than conscious experience. So in other words, ChatGPT is not truly self-aware or conscious. There are several arguments against the sentience of ChatGPT. First, ChatGPT is designed to respond to text-based prompts, and it does not have the ability to engage in other forms of human interaction, such as nonverbal communication or physical action. Additionally, ChatGPT does not have the ability to form new concepts or ideas or to engage in abstract thought. Finally, ChatGPT does not have the emotions or subjective experiences, which are key aspects of sentience. In conclusion, while ChatGPT is capable of generating human-like responses, it's not sentient and does not have the capacity for subjective experience or self-awareness. It's important to recognize the limitations of AI models, such as ChatGPT, and to approach their use and development with caution and ethical consideration. As AI technology continues to advance, it's important to continue exploring philosophical and ethical questions surrounding the nature of consciousness and sentience. ChatGPT has many potential benefits for businesses and individuals who need to generate text-based content quickly and accurately. However, it's important to be aware of the potential drawbacks, such as bias and inaccuracies, and to use ChatGPT appropriately and ethically. Ultimately, the decision to use ChatGPT should be based on the specific needs and goals of the business or individual and a careful consideration of the pros and cons. ChatGPT is not inherently biased, but it can become biased if it's trained on biased data or used in a biased way. It's important to address these biases to ensure that the responses produced by ChatGPT are accurate, fair, and inclusive. As users, we should be aware of the potential for bias in AI models and demand transparency and accountability from the organizations that use them. In conclusion, while there are concerns about the impact of ChatGPT on employment and the workforce, it's important to approach these concerns with a balanced perspective. ChatGPT has the potential to create new job opportunities and improve efficiency in industries, but it's also important to consider the potential negative impacts on workers and take steps to mitigate them. Ultimately, the impact of ChatGPT on employment and the workforce will depend on how it's used and implemented, and it's up to us as a society to ensure that they're used in a way that benefits everyone. An open letter signed by hundreds of prominent tech experts like Steve Wozniak and Elon Musk calls for a pause on the development and testing of AI technologies more powerful than OpenAI's language model GPT-4 in order to reduce the risk and study the effects. Does this make sense, or will it just lead to others picking up the baton? Please let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so that's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more helpful videos ahead. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.